Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Dr. Daniel Knowles, who's a Boulder chiropractor and an instructor and practitioner of Network Spinal. Dr. Knowles, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm super appreciative of being here. It's such an honor.
You're welcome. And I always love when I see people are specific practitioners and instructors of. So I want to learn all about what you do and what Network Spinal provides your patients. But give us a little bit of your background and the focus of your clinic.
Well, a focus of our life is connecting people with more, and that's the focus of our office too, connecting people with more. Now, I graduated from New York University after finishing up at the Bronx High School of Science, and after New York University, I felt a calling to help people as a chiropractor, because I wanted to help people heal from the inside out and discover how much more health, healing, and well-being they could access from within without invasive interventions or using healthcare really as disease care and something that they would do when they have a challenge or concern and otherwise ignore their health. And so our purpose as a chiropractor has been helping to enhance people's spinal and neural integrity. However, I learned in the last 25 years of taking care of people, as well as publishing research and being an instructor and just serving people and seeing the changes that manifest in their life, that really healing is about connecting people with more, connecting to them with the expanded bandwidth of their expression of life and every aspect of their being, rather than getting rid of something they don't like having them experience less of something they don't like, as compared to how can they have more joy, energy, vitality, years to life and life to years, and how do we optimize that whole life experience for them?
I love it, and what jumped out at me is you're connecting people with more, and it made me think of something. So tell me if this is an accurate statement. The more that you're connecting people to already exists. The transformation that you're able to bring them to is you guiding people through your care, your Network Spinal care, and you're connecting and guiding them in this process, and it's now manifesting in that more. And maybe you've even had patients say to you, "Oh my goodness, I've always wished that I could feel this way, look this way, have this outlook on life, but I never have been able to." So I really like that mantra of connecting people with more, if you being the guide.
And you are exactly right. So much in life we downsize or we live it less than what is possible of us, whether through our choices, through our actions, through our perceptions, through how we set up life and behaviors. And those become neural behavior patterns and structural patterns in our bodies. And then they have us manifest living life at a particular gear. Sometimes people are living life first, second gear, and they don't realize they actually have a 5-gear vehicle. And there's more that they can access, but it's there, but there are obstructions to how they have organized their body, how they've organized their life. And then it's kind of like the clouds getting in the way. The sun is always shining, but they may not be able to access it. As their spine and nerve system gets healthier, they have more bandwidth.
And you mentioned neural. And it made me think of something in the mind, in the brain, we've got neural pathways. And if you do things one certain way, your brain takes the easy way out and just creates that little, path that always just the path of least resistance. Is the body and the circulatory system and the cardiovascular system, do those work in the same way, where your body kind of goes, look, here's the, although it's broken, here's the way that we're just going to do this. But now you almost have to retrain your body to now manifest the results that you're looking for.
Very well said. And here's what happens is that people have physical, chemical, emotional life experiences that then their body adapts to or fails to adapt to. And when it gets overwhelmed, then it can shut down particular structural patterns or neural patterns or muscular patterns, or the combination of all three, so that a person's body continues to experience life through the same filter. It's like they have a particular, say, an example is they have someone that's a bully at school when they're growing up. Okay, takes their milk money or lunch money, right? And they're wearing a blue sweatshirt. And every time they see this kid that has a blue sweatshirt, they curl up, they move their body in a particular way. And then for the rest of their life, when they see a blue sweatshirt, they have the same response.
Yeah.
Their bodies have thousands of those kinds of things that then trigger particular structural patterns, the way they hold the body, the way they move, and those get very ingrained. And then those manifest as particular physical symptoms because of how they've positioned their body, how they've moved, how they've reacted. And that's not basically when their nerve system retrains and sees life the way it is. It's like taking the mud off the windshield of the vehicle that they've been driving.
Yeah. I heard really recently, I was reading a book, and this book was talking about this very old piano master, and he had been crippled up with arthritis, and was hunched over, and his fingers were almost just clenched so badly that way. But this person that was writing about him said he sat down at the piano, and all of a sudden it was like this force took over him, and his fingers unlocked. He played like a magician, and all of a sudden it was like the power of your body remembering the way that you were trained all those decades. And so it has to be in there. And now you're saying that you're helping, people, uncover that with your practice. And I want to just merge right on into, isn't that the case? And what is network spinal, and how does that kind of become unique in the chiropractic care that you provide?
Network spinal has grown from many classical teachings within the chiropractic profession that have been around for quite a number of years, but then synthesized into more, meaning that the individual part, the sum is greater than, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Mm-hmm. So there's tremendous brilliance within chiropractic as a profession, and within many different schools of thought of chiropractic. However, Donnie Epstein, the developer network, asked a very important question, which is, well, what if all these different schools of thought actually were right and had their own gifts within them? And how do we sequence and synthesize them so that there's actually more rather than less? And how do we then synthesize that in such a way that the forces applied to the person's body, the adjustive forces, which are extremely light, about the amount of pressure you put on a closed eyelid, would actually serve to retrain the body, to enhance its ability to self-correct, to be able to use its daily movements and activities rather than create more distress, but really to be able to use your daily movements, choices, way you do things to be self-correcting. So what is unique, or one of the many unique things about network spinal, is people develop two particular waves that are innate responses, where a respiratory and breath wave oscillate through a person's body, moving upwards from their pelvis and sacrum up into their neck, as the body comes from defensive behavior patterns that they have developed from past physical, chemical, emotional stresses and traumas. And then also what we call the network wave or somatopsychic wave. Network wave is short, which is actually a muscular movement that actually rocks the vertebra, and people will experience their body self-correcting as it retrains to use its own resources to make changes in the spine and nerve system, which is something that is unique to network care and has gotten the attention of researchers in multiple disciplines around the world, as it's a novel phenomenon that the person's nerve system can make these particular changes. And it's part of what's been bound up in their body becoming unbound.
So from what you just said there, it makes me think of a couple things. So let me make sure that our listeners are really picking up on this. So Donnie Epstein, the founder of the network spinal concept, took several ways of treatments in chiropractic and took the best of and made sure that they aren't competing with each other and layered them in together, integrated them in together in the best possible way so that they literally amplify each other and become better than each one of them individually. And then now all of a sudden it becomes the, preferred treatment to achieve all of these outcomes. And so if I'm right on that, right? And then if the other thing is, this is not the typical, when you hear the word chiropractor, cracking backs, this is very, very light touch about the level of an eyelid closing. And that's pretty unique as well.
Yes, it involves very much so gentle adjustive forces that are to have the body develop its own responses to make change. It's not about us moving a bone or fixing a person's spine, but really rather applying forces that the body encourages its own ability for it to move the vertebra through muscular contractions. And people find that far more effective in terms of the person's lasting change, as a person's nerve system can be more self-correcting and retrain. And also they find that their body can be able to impact its ability to be more resilient, have greater recovery from injury. I have people all the time tell me, I had this ski fall or this particular thing, even things as big as car accidents, and say, I've had accidents before and falls before, and they'd lay me up and for weeks or months and have all kinds of pain syndromes. And I was able to just pick myself up really quickly because a person's body has more self-corrective capacity.
And so it sounds like you're treating the source, not the symptom, because like what you mentioned about moving bones around, could be temporary, but maybe if your musculature or your internal foundation is not set the right way, it's going to slowly move back to where it shouldn't be.
Well, it's connective tissue, musculature, spinal fluid rhythm. All of those things play a part in how a person's body is using its resources to assemble forces to make change. And if using those and a lack of coordination without proper coordination, then the body will break down. And really it comes back to a person's energy state. We talk about a person's energy state being poor, energy neutral, or energy rich. The greater bandwidth you have, the greater you can have an energy rich experience, and that even the most significant challenges, traumas can be seen as gifts and have resourcefulness in them, versus when a person has an energy poor state, they tend to see everything as a problem and everything as a distress or something that's bringing them down. But think about it this way. If you had to run your life, you probably have, do you have a cell phone? I'm assuming you have a cell phone, Mike?
Of course, yes.
And what kind of cell phone do you have?
Samsung Galaxy.
Samsung Galaxy. That's a pretty high-tech one. If you had to run your life on a flip phone, how would that go these days?
These days, not so well.
Not so well, because it's an outdated technology. It doesn't have the bandwidth to process the information that you need to process in life today. I mean, there was a time when a flip phone was pretty high-end. It was like the best thing. You were pretty cool having one. There was a time when having a beeper was cool too. But however, bandwidth of information that you have to process has increased. Same thing for our bodies. Our bodies have more things to adapt to overcome, and really flow of information that we have to integrate. Just, talk to a mom today and what she has to integrate with kids' schedules and work schedules compared to, say, a mom in the 50s. Right? It's a completely different life experience. And that involves a nerve system that has to be highly adaptive, highly responsive, and be able to orchestrate life at a high level. So really upgrading a person's neural system is like updating your phone or updating the operating system, and at some point, if you continue to use an old operating system, you ever get those alerts of to get an update on your phone and you kind of ignore them? Or am I the only one who does that?
Yep. Well, I tend to allow the update, but only at my time.
Yeah, right. I tend to ignore them for a while, but then what happens is the phone doesn't work as one, like, oh, I got to come and do the update, right? So same thing with life. And if you're running an old operating system that's based on how your body's responded to past traumas and events, you're not going to thrive as much because you're using a limited bandwidth as compared to what's possible for you.
So with all of that, what is the typical condition or challenge that your patients are coming to you to get help with? Do you have a specific, maybe a specialty that you're known for, or what are the challenges that people are experiencing that you're able to serve them on?
I would say a downsized life. Basically, an experience of that somehow my life is downsized to what I anticipate it to be. Now, that can show up in all kinds of ways. That can show up as physical manifestations from physical pain and symptoms, such as headaches, neck pain, back pain. But usually those things are really a warning sign that there's somehow that I'm not living my life to the way I possibly could. And to chemical stresses, to emotional stresses, to anxiety and depression, to other mental health related things, to others simply knowing that, you know what, I want to have the best experience of my life I can. I know I'm not having it. Really, truly, I feel like people come into our office for two particular things, in essence. One is that relative to their experience, their body, they feel like they know somehow if they continue the path they are on with the way they're experiencing their physical, mental, emotional body and life, they're not going to survive well. They know that this is a warning sign that, the path I'm going on is not great and it's going to get worse and I have to make a change. Or that's one, or they have an incredibly compelling future. Their kids, their grandkids, their work, their athletic activities, and they know the way their bodies condition their experience, their life, they're not going to enjoy that as much as they would like. And they want to be able to thrive and have the greatest life experience they can. And they know the way their body is now, it's not going to be the way they like it to be.
Love it. Well, if someone is interested in getting connected with more and maybe thriving more than they currently are, what's the best way they can learn more and connect with you, Dr. Knowles?
Well, our office is at boulderchiropractor.com because we've been in the Boulder area for 23 years now and expanding and growing with more healthcare providers. And you can contact our office at that website, or 303-998-1000 is also a phone number for reaching us.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure talking with you.
Always a pleasure to hear from you, Mike, and I'm really grateful for all that you do in terms of getting the word out about great things around the world.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.